Hello everybody, the wife here. Sean and I were doing a bit of a video and he's sitting right here. Well, I'm doing a bit of a video. He's just kind of there. We went to the mall today and it kind of gave me a bit of an epiphany. So you know how we talk about how neurotypicals and Aspies tend to think differently? How they tend to see the world differently? Well, we went to the mall today and I was looking down at the tiled floor. You know those giant tiles that are like a foot big and well, not giant tiles, but big tiles that are like a foot big that have like a half-inch big grout line going all around through all the different tiles. Well, I saw that and it reminded me of how we tend to compare the way that neurotypicals and Aspies think as a few pathways versus a labyrinth. So like say you're going down, a road and you see a couple of different ways to go for this one path. That's what a neurotypical sees. An Aspie sees the bloody labyrinth from the movie The Labyrinth with David Bowie in it. That's what they see. That's what you Aspies see. That's what neurotypicals don't see. We just see the one path that Sarah goes down when she initially gets into the labyrinth. That no deviations, no nothing path. That's what neurotypicals see when we're looking at a problem. Aspies see the giant monster of a labyrinth. It's huge, it's complicated, but they can see the whole thing. So they see all these patterns and they don't see why the rest of us don't see it. We don't know. We don't know they exist. It's kind of hard to know that there's a different path if we don't know it exists. But anyways, back to the metaphor that I was first using. As I'm bouncing all over the place, tired. The corridor, you know how malls have these huge wide hallways, right? Stores on every side and everything. The floors typically have, a pattern in them. They have a tiled pattern throughout them typically. An Aspie will see the nice broad corridor with all these different ways to get to this one goal. Neurotypicals, we see the grout lines. And we don't see all of them. We only see one or two. We see the path that we're on, and maybe one to the left and one to the right. And we see branches that veer off to either side. That's what we see. It's a lot harder for us to comprehend that there's this huge corridor that's really easy to walk down. You just have to see it, because we can't see it. And Aspies and neurotypicals have that problem communicating that little bit to each other because they don't know it exists. One goes, "What do you mean you only see this? This little bitty path, there's like 15 other ways to get there." Neurotypicals go, "What the hell are you talking about? There's only this one way. There's like a way here and a way over here, but I think this one's the best way." And it's hard to communicate that way when you run into those problems. Something that those that have slightly higher intelligence can frequently understand a little better, because we're kind of the bridge between the Aspies that see 15 paths and the very low intelligence normal people that only see one or two. We'll see like 6. So we can kind of guess that there's probably going to be more ways to do something, we just haven't figured it out. Aspies have usually figured out some of them, they just don't know how to implement them sometimes. And then there's others that this is the one path, there is no deviation, there is no nothing. And yes, we do know that there are Aspies that are the one path only kind of people. I'm not saying they don't exist, they do. We've all run into them. Every Aspie has one point where they hit that one path and that's all they do. It's usually not their entire life. It's usually just one aspect of something, but everybody has it. So that was kind of where my brain went. If you go onto our Facebook page, I posted a little, meme about it, and tell me what you think about it. First real attempt at something like that. But anyways, that's my thought on the matter. Have a great night. Talk to us later.